We started off with stories of Raila Odinga hinting at fronting ODM candidate in 2027 presidential race. And Orange Democratic Movement party leader Raila Odinga has urged party members to exercise restraint when speaking on the party's political plans ahead of the 2027 polls. Speaking during the party's 20th anniversary, Odinga discouraged ODM members from speaking on the party's plans in the next general elections, insisting that they should remain aligned on its political strategy. And he even hinted at the possibility of fronting a candidate in the 2027 race, but urged leaders to remain mum until ODM officially pronounced itself on its next move. And this comes amid threats from some of the party members who have vowed to exit the party if it backs President William Ruto in 2027. Among them is Nairobi's Senator Edwin Sifuna, who said that party loyalty should not override a personal conviction, especially on matters as significant as endorsing a presidential candidate. Odinga himself has remained tight-lipped on his plans to vie for the presidency in the 2027 polls. Here are the pictures from ODM's Turning 20 celebration. Watch.
You are very much almost on the precipice, because as you see, after so many days of demonstrations, you saw that eventually the military were on the streets. And they were on the streets, of course, they were fairly civil to the Wananchi at that time. But that was because they had not been given instructions. Once the military are given instructions, they execute. And we are almost there. We're almost there. So he said it's better to have a country that is civil, where leadership can be replaced through the ballot rather than through the bullets. Well, is going to be the hub in this region, no, not Nairobi, because of noise being made by other parties which were also interested in doing what Daniel was supposed to do and paying people down under the table to make noise every day in the newspapers. Shame on them. It's an idle asset. Sell it so that you get money instead of going to borrow. I want to sell the shares of Safaricom. Why not? Who's told you that ODM will not have a candidate in 2027? Who has told you? You have not passed any resolution as a party to say how we're going to go into the elections of 2027. So wherever you are, don't commit the party to some things which have not been discussed.
Issue on politics, refer to Baba's speech. Issue on broad-based government, refer to Baba's speech. If you are in doubt, refer to Baba's speech. And if you want to know more, refer to Baba's speech.
In times like these, it is possible to be lost in competing campaigns or populism and forget that leading means making decisions that may sometimes invite booing instead of cheers.
And away from that, now to all chiefs in Mandera to be armed, Murkomen says. And Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen on Monday assured of heightened security measures along the Kenya-Somalia border, one crossing following concerns earlier this month about the infiltration of Jubaland forces into Kenya territory. Speaking in Mandera, Murkomen said inland security had been fully restored at the crossing and assured residents that external conflicts would not be allowed to spill into Kenya. And the CS also revealed that all chiefs in Mandera County will be armed and undergo training as part of efforts to strengthen local security. Murkomen urged residents to cooperate with security agencies to help counter Al-Shabaab attacks, saying the government is committed to guaranteeing the safety of learners, teachers, and the wider community. The remarks come amid heightened tensions at the border after reports of Jubilant forces crossing into Kenya earlier this month. Here is the CS Interior speaking in Mandera.
Wale wa kuandika magazeti kuniongelelea kusema anatetea askari. Askari wetu wako na haki kusema mafuta yenye wanapewa ni kidogo, tutafute njia ya kuongeza. Wale basi wanaandika gazeti waende waandike kwamba mimi nimesema askari akiomba maji ni corruption. Na askari hao wamesema county government na mtu yeyote mwenye ako na uwezo kupeana maji asaidie askari wetu kupeleka maji kwa kambi zao, ndio isaidie kusonga mbele.
Hao watu watakwambia kuna watu kutoka Ethiopia wame-invade Kenya, wako hapa. In fact, kitu ya kuingia manyumba usiku imeanza.
Even if our neighbors have a problem, it doesn't spill over to hurt our people in Kenya. They should be trained wenye wanahitaji training, na wale ambao wahitaji training wapewe na wasajiliwe rasmi.
Tuko na responsibility ya primary responsibility kuona kwamba mko na security. However, lazima sisi tufanye pamoja na wananchi ndio sisi wote tuweze kufaulu.
Mandera hatuna vita vya vikabila. Ile shida tuko nazo ni wafugaji kuzozana mara kwa mara.
And from security matters now to private hospitals, demand 10.6 billion SHA claims are threatened to stop services for teachers in December. And private hospitals under the Rural and Urban Private Hospitals Association of Kenya, RUFA, will not treat patients using the Social Health Authority insurance scheme unless 10.6 billion or to the is paid by the government. The private hospitals on Sunday announced suspension of services for patients covered and SHA, now requiring them to pay cash for services in their health facilities. The directive stems from rejected hospital claims amounting to 10.6 billion that SHA is yet to pay the private facilities. And the private hospitals are accusing Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale of high-headedness, saying he has referred to them as thieves and cartels. And as government plans to onboard teachers on the newly established Public Officers Medical Scheme Fund under SHA, private hospitals have threatened to stop offering services to the public servants. The government plans to onboard teachers on the new scheme after the expiry of their current medical insurance cover provided by a consortium led by Minet Kenya. This transfer, RUFA says, shall not be effective until claims owed to the hospitals are fully paid. RUFA says that hospitals have not received up to 20 billion in payments from Minet owing to the services offered to teachers. The same applies to the police. And as RUFA continues to breathe fire, the government has remained silent on the matter. Here are the details to the story.
We want to notify the country that this is just not about a dispute between SHA and hospitals. This is because of a simple thing that we have come to realize after 1 year, and that is that the SHA financing model is unsustainable. SHA is broke. This is despite collecting 2.75% from the gross income of salaried Kenyans. SHA has been unable to collect from the informal sector. Today, SHA total liabilities stand over Kenya shillings 75 billion. It is unfortunate that there have been attempts by the Cabinet Secretary to say that NHIF liabilities are different from SHA liabilities. There is no such thing. All liabilities are SHA liabilities.
And away from that, now to Ruto urges a stronger global backing for Haiti security mission. President William Ruto has called on the international community to strengthen support for Haiti, warning that failure to sustain gains made under the multinational security support mission could reverse progress. Speaking in New York on Monday during a high-level event on Kenya's leadership of the mission, Ruto said Haiti's security situation had improved significantly since the deployment of international police units in June 2024. And Kenya leads the mission whose deployment was authorized by the UN Security Council with 735 officers out of a total of 989, supported by contingents from Guatemala, El Salvador, Jamaica, the Barbados, and Canada. And Ruto, however, noted that the force has been operating at only 40% capacity, lacking the expected 2,500 personnel, armored vehicles, and adequate logistical support. He criticized delays and inadequate resources, saying that they put officers at risk. He paid tribute to 3 Kenyan officers who died while serving in Haiti and urged the UN to ensure a proper transition to a successor mission when the current mandate expires in the coming days. And the MSS mission, he added, must be anchored on a predictable resource package, a clear mandate, and a broader international commitment to addressing Haiti's root causes of instability. Here is the president speaking in New York.
It is simply wrong that we cannot marshal the support that is necessary for us to stabilize Haiti, to drive out the gangs. The gangs, in my very honest opinion, are cowards. The people of Haiti may be people of African descent, but for heaven's sake, they are members of the human race.
A UN Security Council resolution to establish a larger gang suppression force with a broader mandate and a UN support office for Haiti.
If we are sending an additional security team to Haiti, the mandate must be clear: a predictable resource package. It cannot be what Kenya has gone through, a game of guesswork.
We started off with the Standard, as the headlining story says, revealed. Now, today we reveal the face of the British soldier whose extradition from the United Kingdom has been ordered by Kenya's High Court. He is accused of their daughter. He is accused of robbing a 5-month-old baby of a mother, a family of their daughter, and in the Nyuki community of a young woman who lost her life at just 21. Agnes Wanjiru's spirit still cries for justice, and a major obstacle is the lengthy UK extradition process that is tied up in courts and the Secretary of State. But the first step lies with Kenya's Director of Public Prosecutions. That is a story that you'll find on page 4 of the Standard this morning. Another story that Standard is highlighting: SHA crisis leaves patients stranded nationwide, and most private hospitals suspended services under the Social Health Authority. Over 75 billion in unpaid reimbursements are leaving patients stranded, many seeking care, others turned away after facilities refused to accept SHA cover. And that is a story that you'll find on the national page 2 of the Standard this morning. From the Standard now to the Daily Nation. Now, teachers, police face a SHA medical crisis, and 333 billion is the figure and amount private hospitals are owed by the state for treating Kenyans under the defunct NHIF scheme. Now, healthcare turmoil. Hospitals affiliated with the Rural Urban Private Hospitals Association, RUFA, have warned they will not treat teachers and police officers when they transition from their current insurer to the Social Health Authority in December. Citing rising debt, the private hospitals are already demanding cash upfront from other patients using the SHA cover of a similar failure by government to settle their claims. That is a story that you'll find on page 2 of the Nation this morning. Raila, no deal on Ruto re-election. As ODM marks the 20th anniversary, the party has been the face of opposition and finds itself at a crossroads owing to a partnership agreement with the ruling party and the appointment of 5 members to President Ruto's cabinet. Now, the deal has torn the party into 2 factions, for and against Ruto's re-election, prompting the ODM leader Raila Odinga to declare that his outfit has not resolved to back the incumbent and asking members to cease premature campaigns. A full story you'll find on pages 4 and 5 of the Nation this morning. Among other stories, peacekeeping, Ruto decrees Kenyan police fighting gangs in Haiti with little aid. President criticizes the international community, citing inadequate resources for the mission, including second-hand armored vehicles that frequently broke down. That is a story you'll find on page 11 of the Nation this morning. And away from that, how a fake letter cost farmers 6 billion land. And for nearly 2 decades, 4,500 small-scale coffee farmers in Murang'a County have been locked in one of Kenya's longest and most painful land battles. At the center of their struggle is a 543-acre tract near Thika town in Kiambu County, once the jewel of their cooperative investment, now the subject of endless litigation worth an estimated 6 billion Kenyan shillings. What began in the 1970s as a dream of prosperity has turned into a cautionary tale of forgery, judicial lapses, and bureaucratic negligence. That is a story that you found on page 10 of the Daily Nation this morning. And of course, a cradle for giving mothers, for grieving mothers. You'll find this story in DN2 Health Nation. That is your pullout. And this is your sport update as tearful Dembele wins Ballon d'Or as a PSG dominant. And Paris Saint-Germain's Ousmane Dembele won his first Ballon d'Or as the French treble winners came away with several of the key men's awards at the Paris ceremony. The 28-year-old France forward scored 35 goals and made 14 assists in 53 matches for PSG last season as they won the Champions League title and the French Cup. He was the joint top scorer in Ligue 1 with 21 goals and named the French top flight and the Champions League Player of the Year. And he also helped PSG to the Club World Cup final where they lost to Chelsea in New Jersey. Dembele, who beat Barcelona teenager Lamine Yamal to the award, was able to attend the ceremony in Paris and was in tears as he stood on the stage despite the fact his team were playing on Monday evening. Now, the forward is currently sidelined through injury, meaning he missed PSG's 1-0 defeat away to Marseille in a game which was rearranged because of a storm. And he's quoted as saying, "What I have just experienced is exceptional. I have no words for it. What happened with PSG," said an emotional Dembele, whose mother joined him on the stage. "I feel a bit of stress. It's not easy to win this trophy and to have it presented to me by Ronaldinho, a legend of football, is exceptional. I want to thank PSG who came to get me in 2023. It's an incredible family." Now, the president, Nasser Al-Khelaifi, is like a father to me. I also want to thank all the staff and the coach who have been exceptional with me. He too is like a father, and all my teammates. We have practically won everything together. You supported me in the good and the difficult times. This individual trophy is one the team has won collectively. It caps off a sensational career revival for a player who had not scored double figures in a league campaign season since he was a teenager at Rennes. Now, PSG manager Luis Enrique, who was named Coach of the Year, deserves a huge credit for Dembele's award because of a tactical switch in mid-December. Now, he moved Dembele from a wide right to centre forward role against Lyon, on 15th December, by which stage he had only scored 5 goals. Now, he hit 30 goals for PSG from that date onwards. Dembele has finally shown the quality that persuaded Barcelona to pay an initial £96.9 million, potentially raising to about potentially raising to about £135.5 million to sign him from Borussia Dortmund in 2017. However, PSG, who were named Team of the Year at the 2025 Ballon d'Or Awards, were the team who got the bargain by recruiting him for just 43.5 million euros in 2023. Dembele also scored twice in 7 caps for France in 2024-2025 season. He is the 6th Frenchman to win the award and only the 2nd of the 21st century after Karim Benzema in 2022. Lamine Yamal, 18, finished 2nd and also won the Copa Trophy for the best young player. 5 of the top 10 players were part of the PSG team last season, including Vitar, 3rd, Achraf Hakimi, 6th, Gianluigi Donnarumma, 9th, and Nuno Mendes, 10th. Liverpool's Mohamed Salah was 4th, and Chelsea and England's Cole Palmer finished 8th. Last year's winner and Manchester City and Spain midfielder Rodri did not make the shortlist, this time after an injury hit his campaign. And away from that, now to some complaints as fixture schedule unfair to Manchester City, Silva has said. Now, Manchester City midfielder Bernardo Silva says his side were at a disadvantage against Arsenal because of the Premier League's scheduling. Now, Gabriel Martinelli scored in stoppage time to earn Arsenal a 1-1 draw at Emirates Stadium on Sunday. City had 66 hours to prepare for the 4:30 BST game after their 2-0 home win over Napoli in the Champions League at 200 hours on Thursday. Now, Arsenal won 2-0 against Atletico Club in Bilbao on Tuesday. It is not fair to play one of these games like this. It is just not right, said Silva. The reality is we cannot come into one of the most important games in the season with such a disadvantage in terms of rest. I wasn't feeling in a perfect condition to play like this, and people who have not played at the highest level don't know how it feels to play a game like this. You need to be at your best condition. Manager Pep Guardiola said City were incredibly tired against Arsenal. In January, he said English teams are at a disadvantage in Europe because of Premier League scheduling, as they always put the toughest schedules for the European teams in the important stages. And away from that, now I had made a miscommunication that today there is going to be Champions League football, but there isn't going to be any football, any Champions League football. Rather, there is going to be the EFL Cup Round 3 football, where Barnsley are going to be playing against Brighton, and Burnley are going to be playing against Cardiff City. Fulham are going to be playing against Cambridge United, as Lincoln City are going to be playing against Chelsea. Wigan Athletic are going to be playing with Wycombe Wanderers, as Wolves are going to be playing against Everton, and Wrexham United are going to be playing against Reading, as Liverpool are going to be playing hosts to Southampton. Yesterday, the Deaf Awareness Week kicked off, and today I just want to tell you a little bit about what it is, its purpose, and the themes that are going to be celebrated in the week, and some of the activities that are going to happen during the week, and why it truly matters. And at the end of this piece, then we're going to be having a message, because today it's particularly for sign language interpreters. I was interacting with a deaf person in Machakos over the weekend, and he sent his greetings and his wishes for sign language interpreters. So before we play that video, What is it? Now, the International Week of Deaf People is a global event celebrated annually by the deaf community, usually in the last full week of September. It was first launched in 1958 in Rome, Italy, by the World Federation of the Deaf, WFD. Remember, in Kenya, this year's congregation was held in Kenya at Kise, where Kenneth collaborated with the WFD to bring different associations of deaf persons across the world to celebrate and have their congress or their conference in Nairobi. Now, since then, it has grown into a worldwide movement highlighting deaf culture, identity, and rights. It is closely tied to International Day of Sign Languages, which is today and marked on 23rd September. This day was proclaimed by the UN in 2017 to raise awareness about the importance of sign language in the full realization of human rights. Right? After understanding that, what is exactly the purpose? Now, the week is about promoting human rights of deaf people across the world, celebrating deaf culture, language, and history, raising awareness about challenges deaf people face from accessibility to employment opportunities, advocating for recognition of national sign languages and inclusion in public life, uniting deaf communities across countries through solidarity campaigns and cultural events. What are some of the themes within the week? Now, each year, the WFD announces a theme that guides global and local event themes, often touch on issues like access to education in sign language, inclusion in public services, employment and healthcare, recognition of deaf identity and sign languages, nothing about us without us, ensuring deaf people are included in decisions that affect them. Now, activities during the week include different countries and deaf organizations hold marches, rallies, and community festivals, panel discussions and workshops on deaf rights, performances in sign language, poetry, drama, music, interpretation, media campaigns promoting awareness of deaf culture, and the school and university activities for inclusion. For instance, here at Science TV, our different teams, including the digital team, has been pushing out content about sign languages and getting the workers that work here at Science TV who aren't deaf to sign different signs about their work here at Science TV and propagating it out there to the deaf communities. And why does this matter? Now, there are an estimated 70 million deaf people worldwide, with more than 300 sign languages used daily. Can you imagine the richness in such a culture? 300 sign languages, 300 sign languages used daily. Now, deaf communities face systematic barriers in education, healthcare, media access, justice, and employment. And as Science TV, we have positioned ourselves as the leading sign language media broadcaster, hence solving that issue of media access. Some of our hosts here at Science TV are deaf persons. They bring you news in sign language, of course, with voice overrides that are done by our sign language interpreters. Now, the week amplifies advocacy efforts to ensure governments and societies recognize and respect sign languages as equal to spoken languages. And this also directly links to this year's theme of the sign generally the Deaf Awareness Month, which says no human rights without sign language rights. And on that juncture, as I was in Machakos over the weekend, I met up with a gentleman who is a deaf teacher at the Machakos School for the Deaf, and he had this message to share to all sign language interpreters on this International Sign Languages Day, to all sign language interpreters. Watch.
Hello everyone, my name is Steven Ogalo and this is how they call me in sign language. I am a teacher by profession here in Machakos Primary School for the Deaf, and I'm very excited because this month we celebrate the deaf community, and today It's a very big day for the deaf community because we all know the deaf culture where we need sign language to communicate. So I want to celebrate one community, and this community is the sign language interpreter. I want to say that these people, they are very wonderful people, and without them, we can't live comfortably because we'll have a lot of challenges. So I want to thank all the interpreters and the interpreter community for standing with us, for interpreting, for bridging the gap between the deaf and the hearing, because without a sign language interpreter, we will not get the information, the different skills. We won't be knowing much. So all the deaf community, please represent us in appreciating the sign language interpreters for the good job that they do to support, to help us to grow our life. And I also want to wish you a happy International Deaf Awareness Week. Bye. Thank you.